Hey guys, welcome to Punky's World. I'm sitting for the first time today. I'm going to tell you about my hip. Again, I want to thank at Footless Joe on YouTube for the idea to talk about this. This will go under my medical playlist where I talk about my cancers, my cerebral palsy, my autism. Actually, I haven't made a video on my autism. I think I'll do that tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow we'll make a video on my autism. Explaining how I knew, even though I wasn't directly told until I got the paperwork back. Anyway, my hip. I was born with what's called hip dysplasia. It's a fancy way of saying displaced or dislocated hip. And there are different, not grades, but there are different types of dysplasia. If you have, let me see, there's just a little out, there's out and down, there's out and up, there's what's called torsion, which is what Jared Meekum has from at Ellie and Jared on YouTube, which is where the hip not only is out, but it's actually twisted. It's the rarest form, and it is I don't know, it's just not good. I would imagine that, first of all, I don't know how they didn't know it until he was 16. Although that does happen, because I knew a girl who had surgery for congenital hip. She was like 14. I met her at a Bible quiz, and we started talking because I noticed the cast up to here and the crutches and stuff, and we started talking, and she told me, and oh my God, I had that surgery when I was a baby. I can't imagine having it now, you know. And we kind of hit it off, and so at any rate, I was born, and when you're born, your bones are basically cartilage. You're born like a shark. It's the only way to put it. You're born like a shark. Your bones are cartilage. You don't have solid bones when you're born. So it's very difficult to tell fractures, dislocations, things like that in infancy. Today, it's a little different with the hips, and I'll explain. And so it wasn't until I was 7 months old, and I was in Boston Children's Hospital, who took amazing care of me. I had heart failure, congestive heart failure at the time, pneumonia, over and over and over again, to the tune of 9 times in one winter. I kid you not. And they figured out that my hip was dislocated. So they, you know, for birth. And there are a couple of factors that actually cause that. One of those factors is the simple fact that I'm female. It's more likely to happen in a female baby because there's a chemical or a hormone that you don't have, and it allows the joints to slip out, but that you don't have enough of. You don't go, I don't know how to explain it, but basically from what I've read, there's a hormone or a chemical that's needed, I think it's a hormone, that's needed, so there's like more liquid in the joints. Maybe I'm not explaining this correctly, because it doesn't reabsorb because there isn't that hormone to tell it to or something like that. Forgive me and look it up, because I may not be explaining it very well, but that's one of the things. Cerebral palsy also increases the risk, which I also have. They also discovered, and I discovered this as I was reading my records from Boston Children's, that I had torticollis, which is that, or that, which babies will outgrow. Again, going back to Ellinger, Calvin had it, and he would go and get therapy for it. And they thoroughly checked the boys' hips because of their dad, and there is a slight genetic component to it, to a dislocated hip. You're more likely, if a parent was born with a hip issue, you're more likely, some type of dysplasia, that increases your child's risk. Not a ton, just a little bit. Even family members, it tends to run in families, as does my hole, which is covered by my sports bra, but yeah, which is called pectus excavata, which we have talked about on the channel. Not in its own video, but we've talked about it in relationship to my physical issues, just like we have the hip a little bit. And they put me in traction to start with. Actually, they figured it out when I was about 3 months old, because that's when they put me in traction. However, I was a little smarty pants. I watched the nurse put me in traction, and I figured out how to take it off. So, at 7 months old, into surgery I went, where they literally cut, I think it's the tendon that holds bone to bone, so that they can manipulate the hip. And they manipulated the hip back into place, and body cast, Bradford frame, casts that progressively it started out up under my armpits, landed a Bradford frame, and literally, with this body cast, your legs are open with a bar. And I know that I've put a picture of this body cast in a previous video, I'll look for it, and something called a Bradford frame, which fits into your crib. Now, you can't just wear a diaper with these casts, because they can't get wet, and they certainly can't get pooped on. So, it's a challenge. There's literally a trash bag, like plastic type material, trash bag, in your crib, and there's like plastic material around your ventilation system, shall we say, and to keep the cast from getting wet or pooped on or whatever. Then they take a sanitary napkin, a pad, put it in there, then you put a diaper on. My poor mother, she was explaining to me, all the rigmarole you had to go through. It wasn't just changing a diaper. But she discovered if she put a sanitary napkin up in there, it made things a little bit easier. Now, granted, sanitary napkins are not made for pooping, but whatever works. So, and they only give you so much space. They give you enough space to poop and enough space to pee. So, in the cast. So anyway, considering all of that, I potty trained pretty darn easily. My mother didn't want to disturb me, and after my bath, She had put me in my crib, and um, she's always talking to you and drying me off and putting moisturizer on you. You know, like a typical after bath thing before you dress the baby. And I fell asleep, so I wasn't waking you up. I let you sleep, and I figured I would clean the aftermath. You did not pee. You didn't poop, but we don't poop that often as a species, you know. But you didn't pee. She said, and you never peed again. Without. She's like, you knew you didn't have a diaper on and you didn't pee. She said it was amazing. She said, that was potty training. You know, and then once I was big enough to walk to the potty and use the potty, it was easy from there. My mother got lucky, and she told me that, you know, with that kind of stuff, because I was pretty easy. Now, granted, I was a colicky baby, so I was a screaming baby. But I had casts until I was probably a year old, and I went back and forth to Boston Children's until I was 5 years old, which I did not remember. I might have glimpses of memories, you know, little bits of things, but I remember going to the Child Development Center at the University of Massachusetts, main campus on Lake Ave, for my scoliosis, and I used to do exercises with him, and I remember that, and I believe he watched my hip too, if I remember correctly, because he would watch me walk, and I think he manipulated my hip, so I think he was watching my hip. I also remember having x-rays of my hip, but nobody ever saw that the acetabulum, the outside of the joint, wasn't growing with the femoral head, so that meant that the femoral head doesn't fit. So instead of having a nice snug fit that everything works together, it kind of goes like this. And it's unspeakable what it's doing when it's rubbing against the edge of the joint, and it's just, there's no cartilage left because it's just rubbing against the edge of the joint. Just, oh, so it's excruciating. I had 3 days, if you'll recall, where I was walking with the walker because I literally couldn't put weight on it. There are times that it is that excruciating. I would never lend out my walker, ever, because I need it. And I don't know when I need it, but I know I need it. I don't mind lending out the wheelchair because hopefully it won't come to that, at least not anytime soon. My hip is screaming for a hip replacement. This I know. I was told 10 years ago I needed a hip replacement, but I was too young. Then they turn around and give Jared one at 35. It's like, really? I was 37 and they told me I was too young. So, actually that's almost 12 years ago. You don't need to come back in 10 years. Well, it's funny because they look at the x-rays and they just don't seem to see a whole lot. I don't know. I know what he saw and I know what he showed me in the comparison between the two sides. I also can remember when I was a child dealing with my hip. Now, first of all, I had a lot of pain, but I don't know how much was my hip and how much was my spasms from my cerebral palsy. It's one of the reasons that I watch House of Hughes is because I literally feel Beckham's pain. Literally. I know what that child's going through when he tries to move and his muscles lock up. I'll be laying in bed, especially if I've done too much that day, trying to move my legs, trying to bend my knee or straighten my knee, and my legs will just lock up. Well, I didn't know when I was a kid that it wasn't my hips and my knees hurting, so the doctor thought I might have arthritis. Well, the tests were negative. He did a blood test, a sedimentation rate, or sed rate for short. But I didn't understand where the pain was emanating from. was emanating from the muscle in the thigh, yanking on the hip and the knee, which is very unpleasant when you have a bad hip. I can also remember as a kid sitting Indian style, which they call crisscross applesauce today. My cousin said, "Are you bleeping me?" "No, I'm not." They really did change it. We didn't call it Indian style to be insensitive or mean. The way I was taught it is it was called Indian style because when they sat around for their powwows and their meetings, that's how they sat. That was their position. So when you're copying their position, you call it Indian style because it's how they sat. Anyway, I would sit in that position. And I can remember a couple of times. One time very clearly. I'm sitting there, my mom's on the couch, my cousins and I are sitting on the floor, and we decide to get up to go play a game or something. And they got up and ran off and said, "Wait for me!" Because I couldn't, my hip was stuck. So I was sitting in that position. Sorry guys. Sitting in that position, here's the position, okay? There we go. My hip was stuck up like this. And I had to literally lean on it, push it down, and push it back into place. That hurt. I heard an home pop. That hurt. Very badly. And it hurt for a while afterwards. I didn't just do it just then. All I did was hit my thigh, which hurt. But anyway. And I've had to do that a few times as a kid. And I'd said to my mother, "Look, I had to pop my hip." And she went, "Ooh." And she said, "But you okay?" "Yeah, a little sore, but I'm okay." And I ran off and played with my cousins, and that was the end of it. You know, and I'm sure my mother was thinking, "This can't be good," you know. But it happened on more than one occasion. And I was warned about sitting in that position because of my hip by my mother. That position is comfortable, believe it or not, for my hip. So, it turns out there's a reason for that. Because the only way that my hip is in place is what's called the frog position, which is, okay, whoops. See where my foot is? Up against the other foot, up against the other knee, and then the hip is, the knee is out here, like this. Let me, see how it is? That's out here. Let me discreetly move my, okay, that is the only way it's in place. And so, I sleep like that, with it up on a pillow. Or, if I choose to sleep on my opposite side, at this point, I have to have the pillow between my legs to support the hip. I cannot sleep on my side without the pillow between my legs to support the hip at this point, because it's painful. It just kind of falls against the other leg, and it's just, there's no support. I need that support. I usually put it just behind the hip, like at the butt cheek level, but a little in front of the butt cheek level, if that makes sense, between my legs, not all the way between my legs, although that would probably be better. It would feel strange to me. Well, let me grab the pillow. I'm not sure you can feel it. This is the pillow that I use. It's just a pillow that I got with a bedding set, actually. And I use it like this. Either under my knee, like this. Okay. Under my knee like this, or, let me see if I can show you, between my legs, like that. Oh, you can't see it because of my dress, like that. You see it? So that it separates my legs just a little bit. I don't know if you can see it. I'm hoping you can. Yeah, you can see it. Okay. So that's what I do. And one of the things that you learn when you have a joint that's gone bad, I have like psoriasis all over my ears. It's so painful. Ow. Anyway, I'm really hoping she could do something about that. The psoriasis. Anyway, where was I going with that? Oh, you find out that it destroys other joints along the way. So the knee is toast. In fact, both of my knees are so bad that if you follow this channel, you know getting down and getting back up, like down onto the floor to clean something, rearrange something, and getting back up is excruciating. And I do mean 10-level pain most of the time to do that, because my knees are gone from my hip. And I'm starting to lose my ankle, which I was told would happen. When my knee first started going, my doctor told me what brace to get, and he said, be prepared that your ankle's next. Thank you, Dr. Gilbert. But, yeah, so that is what I'm dealing with. Thank God for these pillows. I actually had another one, and I'm going to get another throw pillow like this at some point, as this one continues to shrink. It's still got a good poof to it, and it doesn't stink, so that's good. Air conditioners feel great. I'm not cold at all, which is amazing. Men are so lucky this time of year because A, they have short hair for the most part, and B, they don't have to wear a shirt if they don't want to. I personally wouldn't go out without a shirt, but anyway. So that's the story of my hip. At this point, it's screaming to be replaced. But the problem is, I know they have to rebuild the outside of it in order for the femoral head or the new femoral head to fit properly. Plus, they're concerned about my small frame. I have a small bone structure, a petite bone structure, and they're concerned that when they put the rod down the femur, that the femur may just go. So, yeah, that would not be good. So, it's something that I don't want to do. I have had a shot of cortisone. I want to make an appointment to have another shot. I should do that. I should call her tomorrow and see if I can get an appointment at some point this summer. Now that I know I have rides. I should be taking advantage of my rides and getting this stuff done. I'll keep you posted on that, because I think I will call her office tomorrow and get my shot at some point, make an appointment for my shot, because it was, yeah, I was sore the rest of that day, which you're going to be once the numbness wears off, because they've just put a needle in your joint. But she does it by going north from down here from your thigh. She sprays it, and then she goes up north. She said, and I absolutely bathed it in, because the medicines are mixed. It's a mix of the cortisone and the and some numbing medicine. Should I bathed it? And I'll tell you what, it probably worked for about 6 months, maybe 8 months. To where I felt amazing. Now, obviously, it's not going to do anything for my knees. They only hurt when I move them. When I actually bend all the way down, or go to stand back up. So, I would love to be able to make it the same day as my... Oh, never mind, I can't do that. They're at different hospitals. I think. Shit. Lake Ave? I think so. But I'm at less than 30% power, so I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to say I'm going to go edit videos, make a hamburger, which is going to be so much better than the last one I had, which was like eating snot. And I will see you next time. God bless you. Please subscribe if you haven't already, or if you're new. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers by August 4th. Bye, guys. Mwah.